Hello, BookTube. Well, we have a small mail haul today. I expected as much. It's not only 96% humidity. So, for those of you in dry countries, you walk outside, you stand on the sidewalk without moving at all, and you begin to sweat vigorously just from standing out there. If I were driving around or lugging packages all day long in weather like that, I'd want to quit early too. But on top of that, there have been pop-up thunder and lightning storms all day, and those are hit or miss. If you're in the middle of one, it's going to feel like you're in the middle of a really big storm. You're not. You're actually in the middle of a very small storm, but it's pretty bad anyway. So I kind of expected. It's not supposed to be this way. Mail carriers take an oath. Even so, I kind of expect on days like this that I'm not going to get much in the way of mail, and I didn't. I got 2 packages, 2 for the whole day. So that's going to have to settle us, and we'll just see what they are together. Maybe they're 2 really good packages. And I should also remember what some of you sometimes a little bit emphatically point out to me, which is that it's 2 packages more than most people get in the mail every day. So let's see what this first one is. It's heavy, so it could be a nice big finished copy of something, which would be good. That would go a long way towards appeasing Steve. No, it's an advanced copy of something. Just really big, that's all. Okay, alright, this is an advanced copy of something I didn't know was coming. Oh my, okay, this comes out in November, and this is... wow. This is a gigantic biography of Hermann Hesse. His Wanderer and His Shadow. Hermann Hesse by Gunnar Decker. Translated from the German, I presume, by Peter Lewis. Wow. Okay. So this is going to be 800 pages. And it comes out in early November. And if you've been watching my 800 million videos, you know this has been the pattern for 2018. Slightly atypical biography subjects that end up being quite a bit of them really, really good. The ones being celebrated right now in review journals, and soon I will review it, and also all over social media on Instagram and Bookstagram and Facebook and whatnot, is Raymond Arsenal's gigantic biography of Arthur Ashe, which in their true to form, very slow, very steady pace, most American book critics are now finally getting to, and they're realizing how great it is. I read its advanced copy, and then I read the finished copy and was blown away. It is a masterwork of biography about the great tennis star and civil rights activist Arthur Ashe, and that's the one that everybody's starting to talk about now. It's very gratifying to see. But this, I have been saying for some time, along with some of the rest of you, I'm very pleased that Hermann Hesse has a following on BookTube. And that's very nice to see, and is going to become more and more important. I maintain it's going to become more and more important. The more the publishing world learns about BookTube, and I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, didn't they just learn all they ever think they're going to need to know about BookTube by that New York Times article that showed 17 grinning adults who read only children's books? And no, that article alerted a lot of people to the existence of BookTube. And the New York Times has been flooded with responses, emails, texts, tweets, and retweet comments, alerting them and their readers to the fact that a lot more people are on BookTube than just YA enthusiasts. And that's going to make a difference, because that's a way for the publishing industry to connect directly with the people who will buy their books. So the fact that Hermann Hesse is that his novels seem to appeal to a wide variety of booktubers. Again, not that little island or big island of YA only readers who don't read anything else than that and can't really be expected to branch out. I mean, if you've got 100,000 subscribers by bouncing around on set like you're a frog on amphetamines and enthusing about the latest YA love triangle, you're not really gonna endanger that by suddenly reading Narcissus and Goldman. And as I've said on this channel before, If you have spent years, in some cases your entire adult life, only eating the frosting and never eating the cake, much less the rest of the meal, it's entirely possible that you have atrophied your ability to read those books. And you would have to work to get it back just the same as if you were all the way back at 10 years old, working to get it the first time. That's a shame, but nevertheless, that's a long digression by way of saying that I know this author has fans on BookTube, and this is a huge biography. So this, when did this come out originally? This would have been, this was published in German in 2012. And I'm wondering, those of you who are in Germany, is this author is obviously better read, better liked, better known in Germany than he is here, I'm assuming. Here in America, he's mostly known for Siddhartha, because it's short and relatively straightforward on the surface, so it's assigned in high schools, or it used to be. But I am not the only one here who's tremendously impressed by his much more impressive books. But anyway, let's see what we got here. Hermann Hesse spent his later years in the critical wilderness, dismissed, derided, and unfashionable. True, and it was critics who put him there. Yet he was reborn after his death as a patron saint of the 60s counterculture. His tales of spiritual searching, beloved by a generation of disillusioned by the rampant forces of mass culture and consumerism. So cool a rock band would see fit to name themselves after one of his novels. These polarized extremes of public response seem appropriate for a man with the doppelganger motif, an artist who balanced light and dark, internal and external on every page, now firmly established as the most widely read German author of all time. Can that possibly be true? That can't possibly be true. There's no way. There's no way. That can't possibly be true. Is this writer just forgetting Thomas Mann or not considering him? And let's see, this book is the first major biography of the author, poet, and painter to arrive in English in over 3 decades. The book benefits from the wealth of sources that have emerged in the intermittent years as Gunnar Decker makes full use of the treasure trove of uncovered correspondence. Okay, an 800-page biography of Hermann Hesse. I am right there. That's incredible. Did not know that was coming. That's fantastic. We can only hope for even roughly equal luck with the second of these two storm-tossed packages here. This one also feels like an advanced copy. Oh no, it's 2 advanced copies. Okay, so it's 2 packages, but it's 3 books. Okay. Oh, great. Okay, from University of Chicago Press, the wonderful people at the University of Chicago Press. One of their publicists. We were emailing back and forth about some book, and he mentioned just offhandedly, "Yeah, we're all nerds here. We're all book geeks here." I felt right at home. So this first one is Silence: A Cultural History by Nina Edwards. Are you afraid of the dark? And if so, like many of us, your answer is a slightly embarrassed yes. What does that fear even mean? Whether abstract or actual, beloved or bedeviled, darkness seems to contain one of the shining, unifying point of clarity. It touches at the roots of our souls. In darkness, did I say silence? I might have said silence. This is darkness. I can't actually read English. In darkness, the author takes that point and explodes it outward. From our species' earliest encounters with fire to the advent of the electric light, from Lucifer and Grendel to Coco Chanel's love affair with black, from Joseph Conrad in The Heart of Darkness to Jacqueline Suzanne's Valley of the Dolls. Okay, and this comes out in October. I guess it's a kind of cultural history of darkness. Interesting. Interesting. I don't think I come from the same place in a reaction to darkness as I think the target audience of this book is, which might make the reading all the easier for me. I was raised and socialized by a species that is not particularly bothered by darkness. Their senses penetrate it. And I myself have freakish night vision. I'm all but effectively blind in really bright, sharply angled sunlight, but I can see perfectly well in what you would consider to be complete darkness. it's come in handy. Let's just put it that way. Many, many times it's come in handy. I don't like my babies, like my people. I rely a lot on my other senses. I rely a lot on my sense of hearing, for instance, on my sense of smell. If I walk into a room and someone in a dark room and someone is hiding in the closet, I'm going to know that because they smell, and I can perceive it easily. I'm pretty sure you could too if you'd been trained to pay attention to it. But so darkness, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I'm trying now to think just along the lines of what the author probably wants me to think, which is all the ways that darkness has played a role in various things that I've read, various works of literature, from Homer and the Bible all the way to the Legion of Superheroes, in which darkness is key for 2 characters. You're worried now that I'm going to talk for 20 minutes about those characters, aren't you? The first being, of course, Shadow Lass, the planetary heroine of Talok 7, or Talok 8, who has control of dark energy. She can cast shadows of impenetrable blackness. Shadows so dark that even Superboy's supervision can't see through them. She's an honored member of the Legion of Superheroes, even though her power is useless in bright sunlight, or against bright sunlight, and that's the only thing she can do. Whereas there's a young woman whose father experimented on her. You might think that sounds horrific, but it's actually a common theme in Legion Superheroes. There was a young woman whose father experimented on her and gave her Kryptonian levels of strength and endurance and invulnerability, but only when she's not exposed to direct sunlight. Only when it's nighttime. And she tried out for the Legion, showed them that she's as strong as Superboy when the lights are out, or when the lights are down. And they rejected her, because in sunlight she wouldn't be. It seemed sort of strange to me that that would be the case, since you could, use Legion technology. She'd carry a belt full of blackout bombs. All of a sudden, you've got an extra Supergirl just hanging around. But anyway, the next book here is going to be a treat. It's this thing. It's edited by Sharon Hudgens, and it's called Food on the Move. It's all about dining in the elegant age of railway car journeys, when you had a chef and you had a culinary staff, and they took pride in their work. Any of you who are old enough to have traveled on old-style cross-country Amtrak here in America, or old-style cross-country massive train journeys in other parts of the world, not so much Russia, but the rest of the world, like Northern Europe, you'll know what I mean. If you're old enough, you'll know what I mean. It's not, now it's mostly standardized. You get this horrible vacuum-packed, plastic-wrapped crap that you have to wait in line for. You get drinks in plastic cups and whatnot. But once upon a time, it used to be a dining experience in addition to a traveling experience. And well, let's see what you have here. The writer of the pub sheet says, I remember with clarity the excitement of my first overnight train trip, leaving Naples just after sunset, fold-down beds and a dinner of hard-boiled eggs and leftover pizza stowed in a friend's purse, a midnight ferry ride, and an awakening in Palermo. We felt like sophisticates, true world travelers with a flair for improvised culinary delights. The trip was a fantasy brought to life, but I'll admit, when it comes to the finer, tastier points of train travel, we were clueless. Thankfully, we've got food on the move. In this book, Sharon Hudgens gathers a crew of veteran train travelers to share their experiences aboard some of the most luxurious and delectably catered trains on Earth. From wine tastings on the lounge cars of South Africa's Blue Train, noted for its gold dust-infused windows, to dinners of regional specialties like sockeye salmon and Saskatoon pie aboard Canada's long-distance rails. Saskatoon pie. Covering 9 railway journeys on 5 continents and featuring vintage and contemporary menus, recipes, and a wealth of full-color illustrations, this book is a veritable ode to the cuisine of the rails. I love it. This also comes out in October, and I've just got to sneak a peek and see what rail lines we're actually talking about here. I feel certain that we're not going to do the Trans-Siberian Railroad. How could you possibly do? That's just... well, let's see. Oh, no, we do. and that one is written by our editor herself. Oh, my. Okay. They do. Okay, Chapter 3 is the Trans-Siberian Railroad. Chapter 1 is the Flying Scotsman. Chapter 2 is the Orient Express, of course. The Santa Fe Super Chief. Canada's Long Distance Railway, Australia's Gone Railway, the Bullet Train in Japan, Darjeeling Limited. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. This is going to have menus too. Fantastic. All sorts of period pictures. All right, well, it's only 3 books, but they weren't bad, were they? so we have Food on the Move, an entire book, an illustrated book about the great cuisine of various railway line journeys. Then Hermann Hesse, a giant biography of Hermann Hesse coming out in the fall. And Darkness, about what role it plays, what humans think of it, and what they have thought about it in history and literature. So not bad at all. I have so much to read. I have so much to write. And yet it's going to be a real struggle not to simply read that biography right now. It's going to be a real struggle. But I will try my best to resist. Work has to come first, after all. But I'll wrap this up here, and I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.